Hello, my name is Chris Richardson. I am running for Congress in the 6th District of California for 2023. And there's a number of things that I'm questioned about. One is, why am I running when I'm 72 years old? Well, I looked around me and I said, well, there's nobody else with a clipboard here, younger, so I'm what you got. Unfortunately, the people that are running this country are the Democrats and the Republicans, and they are pretty much getting rid of the third-party candidates. And they are doing everything they can to put roadblocks in front of us and making it very difficult for us to actually accomplish getting on the ballot. Not that we can't. And in fact, I will be on the ballot, and we'll see how well I do. Now, I want to encourage younger people to run for office. If nothing else, get on boards, civic boards, school boards, just all these different organizations that are out there that are looking for guidance. You can be that guidance. You need to just stand up and say, yes, I'll do it. And, it looks good on a resume. Really. And I want to encourage you to start doing some research because, for instance, this book has an awful lot of very interesting information in it, and it's by Ferguson O'Connor Greenwood. Ferguson O'Connor Greenwood, and it's 180 degrees. Now, it's the subtitle is Unlearn the Lies You've Been Taught to Believe. And a lot of the things that, if you listen to the mainstream media, you've been told lots of lies. And when you start down that road, you start recognizing that there are some really tough things that are being done to us, for us, and by us, unfortunately, in our, let me make sure we can get this. Where are we? There it is, Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. Now, the interesting thing about that little story is that it's true. He was an economics major that was conscripted by, I believe it was U.S. aid, to help stimulate the U.S. economy. How are they doing that? Well, they go to a foreign country and sell them on building an infrastructure. Now, it's an infrastructure that they don't understand, nor are they equipped to maintain it. But we can offer you loans that will get you that infrastructure, and you only have to pay back the cost. Where's that money actually going? It's going to U.S. industry that's going to build that infrastructure and install it into that country. It's dams and bridges and electrical systems and generators, wonderful things that don't necessarily help everybody, but they can help the extraction of resources from these countries. Not only that, but when the countries default on those loans, it opens them up to what's called buzzard capitalism, which means that the investors come in and savage the foreign country for any resources they can get. And this is what we've been doing in our foreign affairs. And we are the authors of most of the poverty in the world. We have done this. And read those two books, and you'll get a real eye-opening as to what's going on. The Confessions of an Economic Hitman goes back to the 60s and 70s. And we have done this to so many people, and so many of the people that are lined up at our southern borders are the people that are left over after the countries have been savaged by our economic system. Now, that money never went to those countries. It went to our industries that provided the infrastructure that they could not maintain. A little catch-22 there. But, this is the thing. We have to be careful what we're doing. This is not the only dirty trick that we've done. And, 9/11 was really an effort to cover up the theft of $2.3 trillion that was announced by Rumsfeld on the 10th of September, the day before. And the Pentagon they said was hit by a plane. No, it wasn't hit by a plane. It was hit by a missile. And it impacted at the very office where the audit was being done. Now, one of the things that happened was it killed all the auditors that were involved. So that went silent. But there was a backup for the audit, and that was being held in Building 7 of the World Trade Center building complex. There were 3 buildings that came down on 9/11. The 2 towers and Building 7. And there was a newsreader from England sitting in the New York office, and there was a glass window behind her, and you could see the Building 7 still standing there as she was announcing that it had just fallen. About 30 minutes before it actually did. They got their timing off a little bit. But the thing is that when that building came down, it came down as a demolition. It was not brought down by fire. NIST wants you to believe that it was brought down by fire. It was not. And any fires that were in those buildings were less than 1,000 degrees. And steel melts at 2,700 degrees. Now, Building 7 was not hit by anything, but maybe some stuff that fell off of buildings 1 and 2, but really didn't do any damage. And the fires were nowhere near hot enough to melt the steel. But what was thermite. Thermite is a chemical reaction between iron rust and aluminum powder. Now, the interesting thing about that reaction is that it generates 4,000 degrees. Steel melts like butter in 4,000 degrees. And that building came down at gravitational speed in like 9 seconds. 40 some odd stories, boom, in 9 seconds. Didn't even slow down on the way down. And, NIST is trying to tell you that, it was obviously the fire that brought it down. No, no. That was a demolition. In fact, those 3 buildings were filthy with thermite. And you could hear the explosions breaking up the support columns all the way down. And so those collapses were, the prelude to why we had 20 years of war against the wrong people. It was actually the Mossad who helped mine those buildings more than 6 months before the actual impact in September. And these were the gentlemen in New Jersey that were watching it and celebrating the fall of the Twin Towers, and later in the day, the destruction of Building 7 that contained the backup for the audit that was going to happen against the DoD budget. Now, the thing that followed on that was we got 20 plus years of war out of this. We generated more than 38 million refugees out of the Middle East. Now, the thing is that we here in America, we do not see bombers over our head or Iranian gunboats outside of our ports. But we're outside their ports and we are in their airspace and we have troops on the ground and we have 1,100 bases around the world waiting for somebody to sneeze. Because we want to start another war. We've got to stop doing that. It is not productive in the long run. All it does is make money for the military-industrial complex, and they got almost $9.5 trillion in 20 years out of us, the taxpayers. We paid for our misgivings in Afghanistan and Syria and all these other countries for no good reason. It was just because we wanted the resources that were underneath those countries. And right now, we have blown up the Nord Stream pipeline. We did. Now, the Russians had control of the tap. They could either let oil flow through the Nord Stream pipeline or not. They didn't have to blow it up. They wouldn't have blown it up because they had that control. But we did because we want to force Europe to buy our dirty tar sand and bring it back over here at great expense to help support their industries. Isn't that wonderful? And frankly, Venezuela has more oil than Saudi does. And they could supply a lot cheaper oil and better oil than what we can. But we and the Canadians want to sell this tar sand because it's an ecological disaster, just burning it in our own country. But having it elsewhere is probably preferable for us. Unfortunately, most of the Democrats and the Republicans both support the military-industrial complex, and we need to stop doing that. Right now, we are in the midst of a war between Ukraine and Russia, and we are going to fight it to the last drop of Ukrainian blood. I'm sorry, but the Ukrainians, they suffered under us. In 10 years, We threw out their duly elected government and replaced it with a fascist government. And now we're supplying weapons to the fascists. Why are we doing that? Oh, well, that money doesn't really go to Ukraine. That goes to our military-industrial complex, which is making the missiles that we send over there for them to use against the Russians. Okay, fine. The only thing is that more than half of those missiles are going on to the black market. They are being used to destabilize Central Europe. And we are the benefactors of these spur groups that are wanting to cause trouble in Europe. But, there's an awful lot of things that are getting ready to happen. Ukraine has been so busy that they have not planted winter wheat, and they are the breadbasket for Europe and a lot of other places, and there will not be winter wheat from the Ukrainians. Okay, well, that's enough to chew on for right now. Please look forward to my presentations in a library near you, and we hope to hear from you soon. Take care. Bye.